But for the first time in almost 60 years, Cuba will no longer be led by a Castro, as Raul plans to step down as president later today. So what could new leadership mean for U.S.-Cuba relations going forward? Here now to weigh in is senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and a Cuban native, Mike Gonzalez. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for having me on.
I want to begin with your experience. You left Cuba when you were 12 years old, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And so the Cuba today, is it different than the Cuba then?
No, not really. I mean, it's really been preserved in aspect for the last 6 decades, really. The cars are still the same. They're 1940s, 1950s American cars. Communism produces nothing new, so the buildings are in a great deal of decay. People who have been to the island tell me, including members of my family. So nothing new has been built, really. Communism produces nothing, so nothing really has changed. It's still a very repressive state.
Yeah, that being said, so Castro has been in power since 2006. That's when he took over for his brother Fidel. That was back, he seized power in the 1959 revolution. This person who will now be taking over was what, one of the vice presidents? He was a 57-year-old first vice president, and he will succeed. What do we know about him?
He's very little, actually. Those who want the Trump administration to throw him a lifeline say that, well, he likes the Beatles and he likes the Rolling Stones. Well, guess what? We said that about Yuri Andropov, too, that he liked jazz. And as we know, Yuri Andropov was a party ideologue in the Soviet Union. And this guy is a Communist Party ideologue who hates the United States. And he's very repressive towards the dissidents on the island.
So we know that he was a Communist Party of Cuba member. We also know that he became the first vice president, as I mentioned, of Cuba back in 2013. He's considered a key ally as well, and said to be more accessible, though, than the Castro brothers. Do you believe that?
No, not at all. There's nothing that he'll be able to do, actually. Raul Castro, a spring chicken at the age of 87, will remain the head of the Communist Party and will really control the levers of powers. In a totalitarian system, titles really don't mean anything. Policy will be set by the party that is Raul Castro. Raul Castro's son is in the Interior Ministry. He's a head of surveillance. And Raul Castro's son-in-law is the CEO of the largest holding company that controls about 90% of the Cuban economy. So the Castro family, which is really a Cuban equivalent to the Corleone family, will continue to hold all the levers of power.
Yeah, Raul remains head of the Communist Party until its next Congress in 2021. What does all of this mean for relations with the United States moving forward?
Well, the last thing the Trump administration should do is throw this new president or the Cuban government a lifeline. I keep hearing reports that Senator Jeff Flake still is trying to use his residual influence, trying to, in exchange for his vote for Mike Pompeo as a Secretary of State, trying to ease some of the travel restrictions that the Trump administration put in place. That would be very bad policy, a very bad approach. We cannot, we cannot try to help this government cement its hold on the 11 million Cuban people. We should do everything we can to try to see if there's a way forward for freedom, try to give Cubans the opportunity to choose their own leaders, which they haven't had in 6 decades.
Yeah, all right. Mike Gonzalez, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour. In sanctuary insanity, dozens of violent MS-13 members finding safe spaces thanks to liberal policy.